Scientific advances allow us to research and understand most stuff that we find in the world, but as I've said, science cannot explain everything. There are some things that hold a darkness that lingers long after they're passed down or sold. Whether it's a painting with a scary past or a doll with a reputation for terror, these objects carry more than just history. They come with a chilling curse. So, ready to see the world's most infamous haunted objects scientists refuse to study? Let's start off with number 15, Leta the Haunted Doll. This unsettling doll is known as Leta, and frankly, one look at it is enough to understand why people believe it's haunted. The doll gained notoriety after Kerry Walton began bringing it to talk shows across Australia in the 1970s. He'd found it inside a decaying building in Wagga Wagga in 1972, and for some reason decided to bring it home. Strange occurrences followed right after. Scuff marks appeared on the floor, ones that didn't match his shoes. The doll would subtly shift positions. Even guests claimed they felt overwhelmed by dread in its presence. One person reportedly fainted just from being near it. Kerry gave it the name Leta Me Out, believing a tormented spirit was trapped inside. Whether it's haunted or not, people who've been in the same room as Leta say it carries something deeply wrong with it, an energy that makes your skin crawl. No one's ever proven what's inside this creepy doll, but few are eager to find out. Number 14. La Peragrina Pearl. La Peragrina might be one of the world's most famous and beautiful pearls, but its legacy is steeped in blood. Originally retrieved by a slave diving in the Gulf of Panama, the pearl ended up in Spain's royal treasury before being sent as a wedding gift from King Philip II to his bride, Mary I of England. Known later as Bloody Mary, she wore the pearl while ordering the execution of over 280 Protestants, personally attending many of the burnings. After her death at 42, the jewel was returned to Spain, where it changed hands throughout the royal family. But with every new owner came betrayal, scandal, and death. Affairs, unexplained illnesses, and violent ends followed those who wore it. Though it eventually left the hands of royalty, its trail of tragedy didn't stop. Now in private hands, La Peragrina is a prized gem with a deadly and mysterious past. Number 13. The Real Annabelle. Well, you won't believe it, but the horror film Annabelle was inspired by a real doll, and it's even creepier than the movie version. This real Annabelle wasn't porcelain, but a Raggedy Ann-style doll gifted to a nurse living in Hartford, Connecticut in 1970. After bringing it home, she and her roommate noticed strange things happening. The doll would shift positions on its own, and at one point even uncrossed and recrossed its legs. Then came the note, a handwritten, "Help me," scribbled on parchment paper with crayons, scattered around it. Eventually, they witnessed the doll lift its arms while seated at the dining table. A medium claimed it was inhabited by the ghost of a harmless young girl. But after the fiancé of one nurse awoke from a terrifying dream, threw the doll across the room, and was clawed by unseen hands, 4 scratches etched into his body, they called a priest. That led to Ed and Lorraine Warren taking the doll, crashing their car on the way to the occult museum, where she remains locked in glass. Does it scare you? Number 12. Thomas Busby's chair. Back in the early 18th century in North Yorkshire, Thomas Busby was sentenced to death for killing his father-in-law. Before his execution, he made one final request, to eat his last meal at the Thirsk Inn, his favorite pub. After finishing, he reportedly cursed the chair he sat in, declaring that anyone who used it would suffer a tragic fate. Over time, that curse started to gain weight. People who ignored the warning and sat in it met violent ends, crashes, mysterious illnesses, or fatal misfortunes. During World War II, several Royal Air Force pilots mocked the tale, only to die shortly after. As the stories multiplied, the inn eventually became a museum. Staff, unwilling to tempt fate, suspended the chair from the ceiling to prevent anyone from sitting in it again. That's exactly where it still hangs. Whether it's superstition or something worse, Busby's chair has a long-standing reputation for proving that defiance doesn't always end well. Number 11. The Doll of Shadows. Unlike most creepy dolls on our list, this one doesn't look ordinary. It's built from real human bones and even includes a real tooth. Known as the Doll of Shadows, its appearance alone is super disturbing, but it's the lingering presence it carries that makes it infamous. Two collectors got it from a dealer who seemed desperate to unload it. Almost immediately, they started experiencing disturbing nightmares, vivid and unbearable. Even worse, they began waking up with scratches across their bodies that worsened the longer the doll remained. Desperate for answers, they brought it to Ed and Lorraine Warren, who confirmed the object was tethered to something deeply malevolent. According to them, it latches onto its victims through their dreams. The doll was sealed in the Warrens' occult museum, where it remained locked away for years. But with the museum now closed, its whereabouts are unknown, and something built from human remains isn't exactly something you want vanishing without a trace. Number 10. Myrtles Plantation Mirror. The Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana, is one of America's most infamous haunted homes, and its grand hallway mirror plays a central role in that. The mirror dates back to the 1800s and is linked to the tragic story of Chloe, an enslaved woman at the property. After being abused and mutilated by her owner, she tried to take revenge by poisoning the family's food with oleander leaves. The plan went wrong, killing the wife and 2 daughters. Chloe was later hanged by other enslaved people trying to avoid collective punishment. Since then, that mirror has carried eerie echoes of the past. Visitors report seeing ghostly faces, specifically of the children in the glass. One detail remains especially unsettling. A small handprint, impossible to clean, appears over and over, no matter how many times the mirror is wiped. The house has seen its share of tragedy, but this strange mirror seems to be where some of it still lingers. Number 9. The Anguished Man Painting. Sean Robinson became intrigued by the eerie aura of a painting known as the Anguished Man, which he inherited from his grandmother. Curious and drawn to its unsettling presence, he hung the painting in his home in Cumbria. Not long after, disturbing incidents began to plague the household. Doors creaked open in the dead of night, and guttural screams echoed through the house without origin. Sean's wife began digging into the history behind the artwork and uncovered a chilling truth. The artist had taken his own life shortly after completing the painting. But worse, he had reportedly mixed his own blood with the paint used to create it. After learning this, the family could no longer stomach keeping it out in the open. The painting was sealed away in their basement, hidden from view, but not forgotten. Whatever energy the artist left behind seemed to linger within the canvas, waiting in silence just below the floorboards. Number 8. Robert the Doll. In 1904, in Key West, Florida, a young boy named Robert Eugene Otto was given a doll. Some say it was a gift from his grandfather. Others claim a disgruntled servant placed a curse on it. Well, either way, the doll, whom the boy also named Robert, quickly became unsettling. As a child, Gene would blame broken items and strange messes on the doll. "Robert did it," he'd say. As he grew older, Gene returned to live in the same home with his wife, but she insisted Robert be kept in the attic. That's when things got worse. Neighbors claimed to see the doll move by itself. Others saw its face appear in the attic window. Guests reported hearing footsteps and faint laughter from upstairs. After Gene's death, Robert came into the care of Myrtle Reuter, who endured 20 years of strange occurrences before donating him to Fort East Martello Museum, where he remains, still watching, and according to some, still moving. Number 7. The Screaming Skulls in Dorset. Screaming skulls are a recurring phenomenon tied to broken burial promises and restless spirits. One of the most famous and freaky comes from Bettiscombe Manor in Dorset, which is located in England. These skulls belong to individuals who made very specific burial wishes, usually to be returned to their homeland, but were ultimately denied. In every case, the aftermath is unnerving. Strange wails echo through the home, objects are thrown across, rooms and families are plagued by misfortune. Locals believe the only way to stop the unrest is to keep the skulls exactly where they were originally placed. When attempts are made to bury them, the curses resurface. Some say the skulls even return on their own. The skull at Bettiscombe, believed to have belonged to an enslaved man, is said to unleash horrifying noises when disturbed. Over centuries, the house's owners learned to leave it alone. Even today, the skull rests in peace, but only because no one dares to challenge what's tied to it. Number 6. Anna Baker's wedding dress. Anna Baker's wedding dress still stands behind glass in the Baker Mansion Museum, but it carries the weight of her heartbreak. In the mid-80s, Anna, daughter of a wealthy Pennsylvania family, fell in love with a working-class ironworker. Her father refused the union, forbidding the marriage outright. Crushed, Anna was forced to remain unmarried and watch the life she wanted disappear. She never let go of the dress she'd chosen, wearing it alone in her room, spinning slowly through the dark. Over time, her grief turned inward, and those close to her believed she never truly recovered. After her death, the dress became a symbol of her sorrow. Visitors to the museum claimed the gown would sway inside its case or shift positions entirely. Some said the room grew icy, others heard faint weeping. The haunting around the dress wasn't theatrical, it was quiet, suffocating, just like the life Anna was forced to abandon for the sake of status. Number 5. The Koh-i-Noor Diamond. The Koh-i-Noor Diamond ranks among the largest in the world, 105.6 carats as it stands now. Yet before it was ever cut, it's believed to have weighed close to 793 carats. Though its exact origins remain unclear, one thing is certain: its path through history is lined with death. Before arriving in Britain, the diamond passed through the hands of kings across Europe and Asia, and nearly every man who wore it met a violent or tragic end. One was executed in Iran, another died in prison, a third lost 3 brothers in succession. Women, however, seemed immune to the curse. This led British officials to believe only men were vulnerable to its effects. When the diamond reached England, it was cut to improve its clarity, and it has only ever been worn by women since, most notably Queen Elizabeth II. While dazzling on display, the Koh-i-Noor carries a long legacy of ruin for those who dared to claim it. All right, guys, now let's head over to number 4, the Dybbuk box. The Dybbuk box became infamous after Kevin Mannis purchased what seemed to be an ordinary wine cabinet in 2001. Almost immediately, he was plagued by horrific nightmares. Disturbed by the experience, he gifted the cabinet to his mother, who suffered a sudden stroke the very day she received it. Over time, every individual who owned the box reported similarly terrifying events. Shadows, cold spots, night terrors, even unexplainable illnesses were linked to the cabinet's presence. The final known owner, Jason Haxton, was determined to understand the box's origins. His research led him to a chilling conclusion. The cabinet was believed to house a Dybbuk, a malevolent spirit from Jewish folklore capable of attaching itself to the living. Haxton, a museum director, eventually sealed the box away in a custom container, surrounded by gold leaf and a Torah scroll to suppress its energy. The artifact remains hidden, its power feared, and its history stained with trauma, grief, and spiritual unrest. Number 3. Bellcourt Castle. Haunted chairs. Bellcourt Castle in Newport is no stranger to unsettling energy. Among its more unnerving features, the chairs. Not the creaky floorboards or old portraits, the chairs themselves. Some visitors report an icy chill when approaching them, while others say they've seen ghostly figures already seated. One man allegedly sat down and was physically thrown off. The sense of presence surrounding them is hard to explain, but unmistakable. It's not just the furniture either. The castle also houses a full suit of armor tied to a gruesome death. The original owner was impaled through the face. Guests claim to hear agonized screams echoing through the halls, especially during March, the same month the knight died. Whether you believe in curses or not, the castle's atmosphere has convinced plenty. Each room carries its own weight, but those chairs in particular seem to resist being touched, and those who've tried rarely do it twice. Number 2. The Woman from Lem Statue. The Woman from Lem is a limestone statue with a reputation more infamous than its craftsmanship. Since its discovery, the artifact has changed hands between 4 separate families. Each time, tragedy followed. Every family reportedly lost multiple members within a few short years of acquiring it. The last remaining descendant of the final family, too terrified to hold on to it, donated the statue to the Royal Scottish Museum in Edinburgh. But the misfortunes didn't end there. Shortly after accepting the artifact, the museum's curator, who had personally handled the statue, was found murdered under mysterious circumstances. Though never officially confirmed to be linked, the timing unnerved even hardened skeptics. The artifact now sits in the museum's storage, not on display. Some believe it's merely a coincidence. Others think the statue is cursed, but to anyone unfortunate enough to come into contact with it. Number 1. Okiku the Doll. There's no more fitting way to end than with another cursed doll. Okiku is considered one of the most notorious haunted objects in Japan. In 1918, a man named Eikichi Suzuki spotted the doll in a Sapporo shop and purchased it for his little sister, Okiku, who became instantly attached. She took it everywhere and named it after herself. But just a year later, she died from yellow fever while still clutching the doll. Her grieving family built a home altar and placed the doll there, and that's when the eerie phenomena began. Its hair appeared to grow, with visible split ends replacing its once groomed style. The house was plagued by flickering lights, phantom whispers, and loud bangs, especially on Okiku's birthday and the anniversary of her death. In 1938, the family relocated but left the doll behind, believing it should remain close to Okiku's spirit. It now rests at Manenji Temple, where its hair is still said to grow and requires regular trimming. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.